Well, here we are, a motorcycle in the studio. This is the 2020 Harley-Davidson LiveWire. And this is a video review of Harley-Davidson's first electric motorcycle.
Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud, breaking every doubt, know what I'm about.
Alright, so a friend and I one day at work just started, out of curiosity, looking on eBay for the LiveWire. We were talking about some motorcycles, specifically electric motorcycles, and then we searched and found this particular one here. So the first one there I clicked on, and in the eBay listing, I just really started to look through and read. Again, this was purely out of curiosity at this point. So I'm starting to read through the eBay listing here, and going down to the bottom, I did find where that motorcycle was being sold from specifically. So I went to the website, which happened to be Empire Harley-Davidson right here. And on their website, there's a search field. So in the search field, I typed in LiveWire, and there it is. It popped up right there and started looking through the listing. Now going through the bottom of the listing, there is a request details field. I filled that out, and before you know it, I started my correspondence with a sales rep from Empire Harley, and here I am on a new LiveWire one, not the Harley branded one. I actually didn't go with that. I went with a used Harley-Davidson branded one. Now this was really cool. Everybody here was really neat. And here's a quick little video of what the motorcycle looked like in the dealership. It looked absolutely amazing, and we'll talk a little bit about style later on in the video. But next is something unique when you buy a Harley at the dealer.
Thank you.
And there we were, celebrated in the Harley-Davidson dealer for buying a new to me motorcycle. Something else they do that's really neat is on their Instagram page for Empire Harley-Davidson, they post every single person that buys a motorcycle from them. So here in the listing, here's Meg and I, which is really cool. And there we have it. I bought a motorcycle, the Harley-Davidson LiveWire all electric. And they gave us some t-shirts, so here's my t-shirt I'll have forever. All right, so let's talk about the styling of this motorcycle. And for that, I'm just going to step off camera just for a second here. So let's take a peek at this motorcycle. Just look at it. Even stationary in the studio here, it looks like it's going fast. It looks like it wants to speed right down the highway. This is a really cool motorcycle, and a couple things I really like with this. Some of the lines on here. It's like the frame lines. I really like these frame lines. There is, I forgot the exact term, but there is a term that is used with design, and that's supposed to be what is pleasing to the human eye, which I believe that is pleasing. If you just look at that, it's a really good looking motorcycle. And a couple other things I wanted to point out here. It's a very clean motorcycle.
Symmetry can make a bike look right even when you don't recognize what's happening. Check it out. Our bone line hits the top of the airbox graphic and perfectly bisects the headlight. Then this is exactly parallel to the wheelbase. I can draw another dominant line, upper swing arm, shock, upper frame, through the iconic Indian eye and terminating at the gold stanchion upper.
So a lot of the Harleys you see, especially like the V-twins, so right here, this is the battery. This whole thing from here up to here, all those fins are the battery. That's supposed to be where the normal Harley V-twin is. Fun fact with the design, if you look at these fins exactly match the fins you see on a typical Harley V-twin. It's supposed to have that same aesthetic. But everything just looks so clean. There's nothing really that's unkept with it. A lot of the maintenance stuff, like there is a radiator on here, and there's coolant. That's kept under the tank in air quotes there, because this is a false tank. That is just the cover for all of the charging parts of the motorcycle. So all the charging units up there, the gas cap is the charge port. The charging unit is here, the onboard charger. OBC, I believe, is just what it's called for short. And down here, this little bullet shape here, that's the motor. So the motor connects through there. Then there's a gear system in here. It's not really a transmission, it's more like a gearbox that takes one gear set to there, another gear set to here, and then this is the belt drive. Most Harleys do have belt drive, some do have chain, but belt was very key for here because if it had a chain drive, the chain would be so loud on here when you're riding because there's no engine. It doesn't make any sound, so you just hear almost like a little chainsaw going. So belt was key there, and that's all just very aesthetically clean. That's what I really like with this. And now let's take a look at the handlebars here and the controls. I'm just going to show you real quick here. So right there, that is the right control module. They're very simple. Twist throttle, and then your front brake. Then over here, you have your left control module, and then you have a touchscreen in the middle that shows speed, that shows ride mode, shows battery information all in here when this is on. So overall, I just really like the aesthetics of this motorcycle. A lot of Harleys I really like the design of, but they're more of that cruiser style. This is a really cool design. And I'll just put over some pictures I have of the front. When you look at the front of this motorcycle, it looks like a Harley. But here, this looks like a sport bike, a sport Harley. Not a Sportster style, but a sport bike. And I just really like the overall aesthetic for this. Again, that's very personal. This is very subjective. You may not like the look of this, but a lot of people I've talked to really like the look of this motorcycle. So overall, I am very pleased with the way this looks. All right, so I have mounted the bike now, and let's talk a little bit about riding position. So riding position, this is something that's also fairly personal and unique to everybody because we're all different shapes. And it's also kind of what kind of riding you're looking for. That's what really determines the style of motorcycle. And I like this. This, again, is I consider this, even though it's an electric, it's a naked sport bike. So that means a lot of the components, they're all exposed. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the riding position here. So these foot pegs, and obviously I wouldn't be riding like this with sneakers and short socks and pants. I have special gear. I have another video that we talk about that in, so ignore that. But the peg. So the peg, if you look where my head is, and you go straight down, my foot is right under my head. This is called mid pegs, or just mids. There are 3 kinds of peg positions you have. So a typical Harley-Davidson, you think of a cruiser, a big like Road King, or a Road Glide, Street Glide, something like that. You're really going to have forward pegs, where the pegs are out in front, so my foot is ahead of my head. Those are for kind of leaning back, cruiser style. Now this sport bike style, again, where I put my feet back on the pegs, my head is in line with my feet. For me, this is pretty comfortable. And this is also the style I was looking for. So when I grab the handlebars here, now you see the angle of my back. So this is kind of a Sportster style that I was looking for. Now a true sport bike like the Ninja, they also have what's called rears. So right back here, my feet would be back here, and then I would be kind of hugging the tank. And this is actually a position that you're supposed to be in for those really like sport-oriented sport bikes like the Ninja or the CBR or anything like that. You're supposed to be leaning on the tank, facing very far forward, and the handlebars obviously aren't this wide. They would actually be kind of down. So I would have handlebars down here. So this is the position I would be in for one of those sport bikes out there. So that is extreme sport performance oriented. This I kind of consider in the middle. So we have the mids. I'm leaning a little bit forward, not a lot. I kind of actually feel like I'm on my bicycle with this. It's fairly comfortable, straight up and down, versus the traditional Harley, where you have the forward pegs, you're leaning back. That's where also they have, some Harleys have what's called a sissy bar, way back there for the passenger, and you have these big handlebars. So that's a typical position for a standard touring Harley. So I like this. And that's actually kind of what is unique with this. This type of motorcycle, Harley just doesn't make. This is the only type. I really like this. The seat kind of feels like it matches. The other thing you have to always check too, when I'm just sitting, so let me bring the bike upright. All right, so now I'm just sitting on it, it's upright, my feet are flat. You always want to make sure you're flat footing. And if you see here, I have still a good amount of suspension travel. So this is very comfortable, and this ride height is perfect, which I believe, and I'll correct myself in the edit, this is a 32-inch seat height, and that kind of matches the 32-inch inseam I have. The seating position here, I really like. It's fairly comfortable, and also when you look at the angle of my knee, you don't want your knee kind of up above the tank. That's really cramped. You also don't want your knee, so if my knee was down here, and if that was the peg, that would mean that I'm too tall for or the bike's too tall for me. With my knee all the way up here, the bike's too small. But right here, with your knee below the tank, with this almost 90-degree angle, that's a perfect position. So that's what this bike is. It's not one of those really like leaning forward with the low handlebars sport bike that's like this. It's definitely not that. It's also not the typical cruiser Harley. This is designed to be a daily commuter. And as a daily commuter, which I have daily commuted this, it's really comfortable. So when I'm riding like this, I don't feel any stress in any particular area. My thighs, my legs, my back, everything feels fine. So it feels very comfortable. So that's an overview of the riding position of this. It is a naked sport bike, so it's on the sportier side because you are leaning a little bit forward, but you're not in like the CBR or Ninja really aggressive riding position. So this is fairly comfortable.